right, everybody. It is baseball season. And the thing is this. If you have ever been to Busan, or if you reside in Busan, or if you've heard of Busan, you would know that the Lotte Giants, the local team, so popular, regardless of how they're doing. They're always popular. Anyhow, ever since the foundation of this team in 1982, the Lotte Giants have been one of the longest-serving KBO teams in the country with its, in its original iteration. Some of the teams, they go through changes, they get different sponsors, their team names change. And for over 4 decades, the fans have been with the Lotte Giants through thick and thin. Why am I talking about all of this? I'm super excited because we've been talking this up. We have a very special broadcast for you here on Morning Wave in Busan. This is called Talk Busan. And today, you guessed it, it's the baseball edition. So this is our special for this month, and we have invited 4 experts for a roundtable discussion on topics near and dear to our city of Busan. This obviously is not just about, if they're baseball experts, but experts in their own line of work. Without further ado, let's meet our panel of experts. We have Ms. Kim Kyung-nim. We call her Lima. She's the CEO of Hua Studio. So let's say hi to her first. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes,
Hi.
yes. So she's going to be covering baseball and sports from a content and media perspective. And then we have to my right, this is Jason Lee, who is an English sportscaster for the KBO. Clearly, for today, our sports experts. So welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And then we have Professor Sean O'Malley. And some of you might recognize his voice or his name. He's from Dongso University. Welcome back.
Well,
Hello.
thanks for having me, Catherine.
Of
Great
course.
to be here.
I know. It's been years, but I mean...
It has been a while.
Yes, yes. And then, of course, we have Professor Andrew Millard, not sports guy Andrew, but Professor Andrew Millard from Changwon National University. So welcome back as well.
Good morning. I could be the sports guy if you want me to.
Oh, really?
Sure.
So, our 2 respective professors, they're going to be offering their academic international take on, of course, how sports can shape the world. So I want to ask all of you, and of course, jump right in when you can. Do you have any personal story, any attachment to the local team? So Sean, because you're wearing the Lotte Giants cap, so
Yeah.
I mean, can we get your personal take on the Lotte Giants?
Sure, yeah. Love them. They're great, Been a fan for a long time.
Yes.
I became a fan really when I moved into Busan, which was back in 2008. Back then, you probably remember Bobby McGill, who had started Busan Haps. And so Bobby started working with the Lotte Giants to have player meet and greets and such. And so we got to go to one of those, met some of the players, met the manager at that time, Jerry Royster, who was with them from 2007 to 2010. And, would run into players and Jerry, if he doesn't mind me calling him that, around town, every now and again at different locations and get to talk baseball. And it was a really great time to be a fan with all of the connections that the team was really trying to build with the community at the time.
Right. I'm going to turn to Andrew. Is it true that, you live around Sajik?
So I used to.
You used to?
Similar to Sean. So when I first came to Busan, which was 2006,
Okay.
I lived in Sajikdong. So I lived right next to what is now it's a wedding hall. It used to be a funeral home, which is a little more depressing.
Yes.
But it's literally a few hundred meters away from the stadium. So to be honest, I'm from England. We didn't really have baseball in England.
Right.
But from the second I moved to Busan, all I could hear from sort of the end of March to end of sort of September was these big cheers. So I used to go to the Sajik Stadium quite a lot. Not really for the baseball, to be honest.
But for?
More for the social aspect.
The 분위기.
The 분위기, that's right, for the atmosphere. A few beers, bit of chicken. Some potatoes in sugar or salt, whatever it is, which I've always found weird.
Weird, right?
I don't really get that part. But no, for me, Busan, from the second I've lived in Busan, baseball has always been a part of my life here.
Those cheers were only up until September. It never seemed to be loud in October.
They've never come along
or anything like that, though.
Yeah.
Pain.
Or it was the other team.
Pain. What about for you, Lima? Any connection to baseball or the Lotte Giants? And if not, it's fine too.
Well, to be honest, I am from Busan, born in Busan, I grew up in Busan, and I went to Canada. I lived for a long time. Actually, I went to baseball stadium only twice. Once when I was in high school, because back then it was really high and Lotte was pretty good. And it was like I remember one year, it was a huge thing, and I went there with my friends after, skipping school in the evening yaja.
Okay.
And then I went. The second time was actually last Tuesday, because I was.
How did you get tickets?
It was actually a rough story. It was hard. I had to line up to get that 현장 ticket day.
On site, right?
Yeah, on site. It was kind of competitive, but
I'm
it wasn't too bad because it was weekday.
Okay.
And too bad Lotte lost that day.
Oh, that day?
But it was fun.
I'm sure.
So brought a lot of memories.
Yes. And now I want to turn to Jason because I know that you cover baseball. That's what you do. But any connection to the Lotte Giants at all, or anything you can tell us about them?
Well, as you mentioned, I've actually had a chance to do quite a bit of play-by-play for the KBO, and I actually started right here with BEFM with the Lotte Giants at Sajik Stadium. Shout out to Kane Mason and Eric McLee, who were my color commentators.
Yes.
So certainly a great experience. It kind of got me started off in play-by-play for the league before working with other companies as well. But definitely being at Sajik Stadium, it is a different atmosphere from other stadiums. I think the unified chants of the crowd cheering for Lotte is different, certainly compared to if you're at Chamsil Stadium.
Yes.
And the crowd is usually split half and half, or maybe 60-40.
Sure.
But when it's 90-10, maybe 95-5 here in Busan at Sajik, it's definitely a different atmosphere and a lot of fun to watch.
So you just mentioned the chants there. So I've only ever been a baseball here in Busan, but of all the different teams and stadiums, is there a favorite chant that you have?
One of my favorites back in the day was when Karim Garcia was actually a player for the Lotte Giants. So his cheer was something like Garcia. And I just remember that was one of the first cheers that I heard back in the day, and it was really catchy.
Wow.
So it was one of those things where I think when you go to a stadium in Korea and every player has their own cheer, not every cheer is easy to pick up after the first time you hear it. That was definitely one where when he came up to bat the second time up, we were all cheering along with everybody else.
Wow. I mean, I remember personally, I grew up in LA, so going to the LA Dodgers game, that was amazing, but it was just Dodger dogs, enjoying the concession stand. And it wasn't as personal or personable even, that personal attachment to every single player. It's so different, the vibes from, bless the LA Dodgers, I love them, but so different from the Lotte Giants, I would have to say.
I think the comparison that you always hear when people talk about the difference with Major League Baseball and the KBO is that Major League Baseball is like an opera. Everyone goes, they watch, they pay attention, but the cheering, the involvement isn't the same as it is in Korea, whereas the KBO is more like a rock concert or like a K-pop concert where you're not just watching the product on the field, you're immersed and you're involved, you're cheering along with what's happening.
What a great comparison. I love it. And Jason, so right now, is it just me? I just feel like baseball fever, the fervor, it's hot right now. Is it just my imagination, or is it the KBO? Do we have numbers?
Well, actually, over the last last year they broke an attendance record that dated back to 2017. So they broke 10 million fans for the first time, and I think they broke the attendance record by maybe about 15-20%. And already this year they're on pace to break last year's attendance record. So certainly involvement, spectatorship, TV TV ratings, it's all way up for the KBO this year. I think a big part of that is probably, it's been in the news that there are a lot more female fans at the stadium than ever before. I think it's over 50% right now. So the fact that a lot more female members are going to watch games, you're seeing even more fun at the crowd, because I think the female fans cheer louder than the males do. The males are kind of like, they're sitting there like, okay, I'm trying to enjoy this ball game, but the women are just like, no, we got to cheer for our favorite players. And like they're so passionate about it. And I think it really adds to the atmosphere.
Yes. Sean, I want to get your intake as well, insights into not just baseball, but sports, tourism. What would you say is the impact, baseball and sports is having on our city, on tourism?
It's tough to say on tourism, right?
Okay.
I mean, global sports tourism is about a $570 billion industry, right? So there's a lot of money out there to be made. And I'm a big fan of sort of regional integration, especially in sports.
Okay.
So when you think of, Major League Baseball in the U.S., they've got a Toronto team. They've got a Canadian team plus the rest in America. The NHL has 7 Canadian teams and a whole bunch in the States.
Right.
Europe, if you're talking European football, you've got the Champions League and Europa League and all integrated. And so there's a lot of movement towards regional things. I would like to see the KBO put a team in Japan and have a regional team based there.
Interesting.
If they could pull it off. The reaction I get from fans, the first reaction is always, awesome. I'd go to Japan and see a game. That would be so cool. And then about 30 seconds later, they think about it and they're like, well, how would you do scheduling? And it's so far away. And the thing is, right, it's not far, though. That's the thing. Fukuoka, is only about 500 kilometers from Incheon. And in Major League Baseball, the Seattle Mariners have to travel 1,100 kilometers to their nearest away game. And they play 80 away games a season.
Wow.
Right? So they travel up to 3,900 kilometers for one game when they have to go to Miami. So it's really close. And it's even closer to Busan, 200 kilometers, right? You can go by the ferry or plane.
That's true.
And with a media consultant here, I'm sure she could tell you the marketing potential and the tourism potential for bundled flights, games, hotels, and getaway weekends, and during the week, cut rates, and all kinds of things you could do.
Like a short getaway, but so amazing. I love the idea.
Oh, yeah, it'd be fantastic. 2 nights, 2 baseball games, quick flight in and out, both ways, right? I mean, Japanese coming here, Koreans going there. And of course, last year in 2024, we set a record with 12 million tourists in bilateral tourism between Japan and Korea. So, so we're seeing a lot of uptick in people coming. So
absolutely.
Baseball could have a part to play in that.
Well, I'm going to turn to Lima now, and I want to get your take, your spin on what we're talking about today.
Which is really interesting because, to be honest, you might have noticed that I'm not a huge baseball fan, to be honest. But as I was preparing for this talk, and I became more and more gradually into baseball, and then what's really fun about difference between cheering culture in Korea, and then like we already briefly talked about, that is that Korean fans are super energetic and they want to get involved and they want to chant together like a united kind of team. And apparently in Japan, they're a lot more respectful to the teams and to the even opponents. So they wouldn't chant towards the opponent when they're in the offense, and then they take turns
that's
when
boring.
Which is very, very, very interesting. Which is similar to concert culture as well. So I heard that even in rock concerts, Japanese fans are like sitting down and then kind of like clapping when Korean fans go like nuts. So it's which is very has a lot to do with the maybe that kind of atmosphere that they share in throughout other cultures as well.
Right.
And in the U.S., which is also very interesting that there is no group chant, really. It's more individuals and it's stadium-driven. So there's an announcer, just like how we're really familiar with all the Hollywood movies. They often picture, so it's exactly like that. And then the announcer introduces each players, and some popular players have their own theme song, introduction song kind of thing. But no one really like sing along together. So, which I find it really interesting. And fun fact is that in Taiwan, actually, they have quite similar culture, cheerleading culture like Korea. So recently, the cheerleaders in Taiwan are almost as popular as idols. And one of the most famous cheerleader, Pika Pika, that became like super viral globally. Yeah.
Right.
She was actually scouted by Taiwanese cheerleading team. So now she's cheering for Taiwanese at the moment.
Yes.
Apparently she's like a huge idol figure.
She's a star.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know this person. Can you show us?
Yeah, it became super popular. There were so many parodies.
But I want you to show us.
I see. I don't think you don't want to see that.
Side note, if that's the case, Taipei is also closer than the Mariners would have to fly to play an away game. So we could put a regional team in Taipei as well.
Exactly.
And Ho Chi Minh City. Like the KBO can reach out to different places and make some things happen.
We hope that, people are listening. KBO, the executives maybe, with some great ideas that are being thrown out. I also do want to turn, Andrew, any other stories or anything that you want to add into our conversation about what you think is important about baseball and anything else, because you're coming from the UK, and I'm sure the culture of baseball, is it like non-existent or is it just like not popular?
So like I said before, so when I came in 2006, I had never been to a baseball game ever. I never watched it on TV, honestly, in England.
Yes.
Did you understand the rules?
Nope.
But
no idea.
Didn't British invented baseball, cricket, and then as far as I...
So in England we have, obviously the main one is football, or as you guys say, soccer. We say football because we use our feet. That's right.
Okay.
But football, that's a different story.
Okay, let's not go there.
But then we have, golf and cricket. I guess cricket would be the closest to baseball.
Sure.
But it's still slightly different. I mean,
that's very different.
Cricket, you can have a game that lasts 5 days, and there can still be no winner at the end of that. Right. But again, cricket, so I've been to watch games in England. It's more of a gentleman's sport. So maybe a bit more like Japan. It's a little bit more relaxed.
It's polite.
More polite. Although it is changing. You get a few more chants, especially when England play Australia. There are a few chants, a few songs coming in, which are quite interesting.
Yes.
But nothing like Korean baseball. So for me, Korean baseball, again, the atmosphere, even if you don't know the rules, like me, you can go to a game and you can have the best night ever. Doesn't really matter who wins. So for me, that's really sort of what Korean baseball is, just this uniting aspect, bringing everything together.
And so I want to turn to Jason. Can you give us like your experience? Because I'm a lay person, and I'm sure everybody else, when we watch the game, we're like, enjoying the vibes. Like whether you're, in the stadium or, even watching from home and you had like the chimek going on and you're just enjoying it. But as a commentator, like I'm sure like it's quite different. So can you share a little bit about your experience commentating on some of the games?
Yeah, I think when I'm commentating, first off, we have, as broadcasters, just a lot more information. I mean, it'd be like watching a TV baseball game with your laptop in front of you and you're going through all the different stats. Like, you just have so much information that's going on within the game. There's constantly people handing you pieces of paper to tell you that home run actually traveled this far at this exit velocity, at this launch angle. And then once you get that information, you relay that onto the fans as well. So you're constantly being helped by a lot of other people to make the broadcast as good as possible.
Sure.
You're obviously human yourself.
Yes.
Not AI.
And you must have a favorite team in Korea. But when you're commentating, how do you stay objective? Like there must be times when you really want your team to win, but they're like really close.
Yeah, I was actually born in Busan. My father was a teacher in Busan, and one of his students, when he was a teacher, was Che Dong-won. So I've got a connection to the Lotte Giants as well. And as I mentioned before, the first broadcast that I ever did was for the Lotte Giants back in 2016, I believe it was. So there's a side of me back then when I was sort of trying to be a bit of a fan as well and push for the Busan audience, because when you're broadcasting, it's not just about necessarily being objective, but knowing who your audience is. So there's been other broadcasters that I've worked for on the national level where I am trying to be as neutral as possible. Right. But when I was broadcasting for BEFM, then I understood that, okay, well, our audience is a Busan audience. They're going to be fans of the Lotte Giants. So we didn't mind being a little bit more accommodating to those fans and passing along.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
We all know about the rise in the popularity of K-foods, and kimchi is such a quintessential Korean staple side dish. The surprising bit is that kimchi has made its debut in the U.S. dietary guidelines this week, albeit it was a short blurb, but 미국 정부가 최근 발표한 5년 만에 미국인을 위한 식단 지침에 김치가 발육식품의 좋은 예시로 처음 포함됐다고 합니다. So released Wednesday by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Agriculture, the updated guidelines encourage Americans to eat more whole and minimally processed foods. And they singled out fermented options, and they literally wrote, such as kimchi, sauerkraut, and kefir, for the potential benefits to gut health. Korea has long recognized the benefits of consuming kimchi, and with these official updated guidelines stateside, I'm thinking that the popularity of kimchi and other K-fermented foods will gain even more traction. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, January 9th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Friday morning. And for those of you who were a little surprised, some of you even wrote a little alarmed because you might have gotten an alert on your phone saying, oh, Morning Wave, we're live right now. So just to give you an explanation, we're trying out something new. We're giving you a little preview, a rerun of a past episode to kind of, get our creative juices flowing. And Wow, so many people joining in really early in the morning. So I do apologize if you were kind of surprised, but that's what happened this morning. Glad to have you all on board on this Friday morning once again. So I talked about things like fermented foods and kimchi. It's all about, living healthy, especially in this age where we're living much longer, longevity. And how about this word? Retirement. What's your reaction to this word or stage of life? Are you looking forward to this post-work life, or does the thought of retirement trigger anxiety? Another question, when should you start thinking about or preparing for retirement? Well, according to the Korea Insurance Development Institute, 6 out of 10 people in their 40s and 50s are not ready for retirement. And this is according to the Retirement Market Report, where over 90% of respondents said they feel the need to prepare for retirement, but only about 37% are actually ready. What's interesting is that financially, they should be ready. Well, so for the people in their 40s and 50s who are currently working, they're expected to receive an average of 160 million won, 1억 6천만 원 in severance pay or retirement benefits. We're talking about the 퇴직급여. Another question, how are people preparing for retirement? Well, almost 70% said that they were counting on the public pension, with only 6.8% who said they subscribe to an extra private pension or pensions. And this would be on top of their monthly pension or Social Security. But that money isn't only for the retiree, but also when you think about it, for their adult children. Respondents estimated that they would spend an average of 46 million won on their children's education. That includes things like college tuition and 136 million won for their child or children when they get married. And there is definitely a gap between when, one is the most economically active versus when they may be expected to make those splurge, big spendings. And those who are retired, they said that they enjoyed, being free from work-related stress, but also pointed to economic stress as their biggest hardship. And some of you, well, I'm sure, depending on your age, you may be closer to retirement. Some of you are really young as well, and many of you are probably in between. Is it ever too early to start preparing, though? So, food for thought. And our text topic very much related to our story right now. What does your dream retirement life look like? 자, 내가 꿈꾸는 내 노후는? What does it look like? Where are you? Who are you spending your retirement with? And you know what? You may be dreaming of doing it all on your own. And I think that's wonderful. So I want to hear all about your retirement dreams. Send them into BFM's live stream, live chat on YouTube. There was a question on the board earlier saying, are you guys live right now? We are now. 이제는 생방 맞습니다. So you can send them into our chat room on YouTube. Once again, go to the YouTube platform, type in BEFM, 부산영어방송, to find our channel. You can log in and subscribe, chat with our other waivers. Also, from your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free through Kakao Talk. So to find our account, same thing. You can type in BEFM, 부산영어방송 to find us, add us as a friend, and then send in your messages. And the ways you can tune into Morning Wave in Busan on the radio here in Busan, 90.5 or 103.3 FM. We are streaming once again live on YouTube. You can watch again at your leisure. And then we have the BFM app and the Papbang app. Both are easy to download and free to use. Looking ahead to our Friday morning together, we have the usual suspects. We have Jin coming in real soon for Now in Busan. We have Haley in hour number 1 with top stories. In hour number 2, Wagga Wagga Tea Time. We also have Casey coming in for Foreign Press Highlights, and then Professor Andrew Millard in hour number 2 for Global Affairs. For our special interview, another timely get from our staff here. It's all about cleaning and organizing because we have kicked off the new year. And sometimes I know I am guilty of this. I feel like, do I need to declutter? And sometimes it's about minimalizing, but just like cleaning up, not cleaning. 청소보다 how can we organize our homes, our lives? We're going to find out with an expert that's coming up in hour number 2. I'll be back with news overview. It's now 7:07. This is News Overview. Final hearing for ex-president's insurrection trial scheduled for today. The prosecution will make its sentencing request for former President Yoon Suk-yeol at the final hearing of his insurrection trial scheduled for this morning at 10 a.m. Defense Counterintelligence Command to be dismantled. The Defense Ministry will seek to disband the Defense Counterintelligence Command for its alleged involvement in ex-President Yoon Suk-yeol's martial law imposition, marking the organization's dissolution after 49 years. MBK chairman faces potential arrest over Home Plus management. The Seoul Central District Court will hold a hearing next Tuesday to rule on the arrest warrants for the chairman of private equity firm MBK Partners, Kim Byung-ju, and 3 other senior executives over the management of Home Plus. Samsung Electronics posts record 20 trillion won estimated profit in fourth quarter. Samsung Electronics yesterday reported a record-breaking operating profit for the fourth quarter, touching the 20 trillion won mark for the first time, driven by a supercycle in the chip industry. U.S. involvement in Venezuela could last years, Trump says. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that his country's involvement in Venezuela could last for years, adding that his administration will oversee the running of the country. This was News Overview. It's time for Now in Busan. Jian's here. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Happy Friday.
Yay. It is that day, our favorite, at least my favorite day of the week. So let's get your take on retirement. What do you imagine your retirement life to look like?
It's so hard. I don't know if you ever heard of K-pop song with the lyrics. 서른이 되기 전에 결혼은 할런지. But I already passed 30 and I'm not married yet. So I can't imagine for my middle-aged period. But I wanted to marry a lot earlier than this,
really?
but I couldn't. Yeah, with many kids. But I'm still single, so my dream life would be still with many kids. But not sure if I can.
I love that. You're just, let's advertise. Tommy says don't do it, but he always says don't do it. You know what? He's like the best husband and dad. Jokingly, he always says like don't get married. But yes, it's a good thing. I would recommend it if you're up for it. Yes, absolutely. Well, let's jump into our local news. Starting this year, universities are required to factor school violence records in their admissions process under new government guidelines. So what does the situation look like in Busan?
In Busan, a large number of early admission sushi applicants with school violence records were rejected. According to education authorities and university sources, a total of 247 applicants with school violence records applied to 12 universities this year. Of those applicants, only 51 were admitted, while the remaining were rejected.
I see. Was it mainly because of what was on their school violence records, their school records?
Yes, the records were applied strictly, either as major point deductions or as disqualifying factors.
Okay.
By university type, national universities set a particularly high bar. So all 7 applicants with school violence records who applied to Busan National University were rejected. The same applied to Bugyong National University and Korea Maritime and Ocean University, where all 8 and 13 applicants respectively failed to gain admission. Among private universities, Dongha University also rejected all 32 applicants with school violence records. While some private universities admitted a small number of such applicants, excluding Kosin University, where there were no applicants, overall acceptance rates remained very low.
I see. So this is definitely a newer trend, but we're seeing it across the country. There's just zero tolerance for school violence. All right, next up, let's talk about this. So with retirement ages coming earlier, and this is so much in line with what we were talking about just a little while ago, many middle-aged workers are looking for a second chapter in their careers. So companies in Busan, I hear, are sharing some positive news.
Yes, according to a report released by Busan Human Resources Development Committee under the Busan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, 82% of Busan companies said they're willing to hire middle-aged workers. Nearly 70% cited practical experience and job-related skill as the main reason. Other factors included strong work attitudes, lower turnover rates compared to young workers, and the shortage of young labor.
Well, that sounds encouraging. Is this actually translating into real hiring, though?
It is. In the first half of 2025, nearly 24,000 of the approximately 66,000 people hired in Busan were middle-aged workers. As of of July 1st last year, middle-aged workers accounted for about 50% of the roughly 550 workers, showing that they already play an important role in Busan's industrial workforce. In a survey of 600 middle-aged job seekers in Busan, about 30% said they would like to continue working until the age of 65, while another 27% said they want to keep working as long as possible.
And that's understandable as, longevity, age expectancy is just getting longer and it's getting up there. Well, next up, let's talk about Busan's City Hall running reading programs that combine things like books, art, and nature. Tell us more.
Busan City is running a range of reading and cultural programs in the children's cultural complex 들락날락. The city plans to make the complex a cultural platform where families can come together to play, learn, and rest by having more family participation programs with various books.
Yes, so what kinds of programs are going to be available?
More than 30 programs are being offered, including a hands-on reading activity featuring a different picture book author each month, and light and shadow storytelling program which uses light and silhouettes to tell stories. In addition, the Sky Garden on the 4th floor of City Hall, which opened to the public last November, will continue to be used as an integrated learning space where nature and books come together.
Oh, it sounds really lovely. So if you're interested, waivers, go check that out. Next up, let's talk about the Busan Museum of Art, which has been undergoing renovations for several years. Is it true that the end is finally in sight?
Yes, that is true. The Busan Museum of Art is set to reopen this fall after completing its large-scale renovation. Opened in 1988, the museum began renovation work in December 2024 due to aging facilities. The project includes upgrades to exhibition halls, storage spaces, and entrances, as well as expanded amenities such as cafes and cultural concept shops.
Yes. Are there any exhibitions to look forward to after the reopening?
Of course. When the museum reopens this fall, a total of 5 exhibitions will be held. These include Future Museology, which is co-planned with a consortium of more than 10 domestic and international museums. Other highlights include the special exhibition titled Society and Art from Liberation to the Korean War, Rebuilding the Museum, which looks back on the museum's history, and the children's exhibition titled Safe Base and Young Perspectives, New Visions 2025. Ahead of the reopening, a collaborated project, Loop Lab Busan, with external institutions will be held in April.
Well, great to hear some updates regarding our beloved Busan Museum of Art. Next, and finally, let's talk about Busan. Busan has won a gold award at the Seoul Video Advertising Award. So great news. We need to hear about the story behind all of this.
Busan City announced yesterday on the 8th that its promotional video for the 2028 World Design Capital, produced in collaboration with students from Dongseok University, won a gold award at the Seoul Creative Award of Film Advertising, 서울영상광고제. Since its first release last October, the video has gained strong traction on social media and received high praise for its fresh perspective and use of AI-based video techniques.
Yes, and it sounds really exciting. What is the video about and where can people view it?
The video tells a story connecting Busan's past, present, and future, delivering messages of recovery and challenge, coexistence, and innovation through music and visuals. The theme song, Design Your Life, portrays the city's journey from the ruins of war to a place where design reshapes everyday life for Busan citizens. The video is available on Busan City's official YouTube channel, BusanTube.
Yes. Well, thank you for giving us all the news regarding Busan. And of course, have a lovely weekend. We'll check in with you on Monday. Thank you, Jin.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, things got just brighter right now. Let's get to our traffic and weather. look so much brighter now. Okay, let's get to our traffic and weather. First up, there is congestion on the Dongso overpass from Pumniko Ramp to the old Gaegum tollgate. And there was an accident on the overpass going away from the city on Nakdong-daegyo Bridge. It's been cleared, but there is still backup. It is busy on Luno-Samsung-daero from Myeongji Underpass to Shinho Bridge. And that top portion of Gwangan Bridge, it is, congested. It's building up right now. Currently, it is minus 3 degrees Celsius under clear skies here in Busan. It's going to go up to 7, so slightly warmer than yesterday. Busan City is under a dry weather special report. Yes, like I said, it's going to be a little bit warmer compared to yesterday, especially starting in the afternoon. Significantly warmer tomorrow with lows of 6 degrees and a high of 11. Colder on Sunday with once again a low of minus 3, a high of 3 under clear skies. And this was your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley here. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. You know,
Yay.
I just got brighter in the studio because I came in. Okay,
Crickets.
you can't have dead air. Hello.
The Bee Gees going out. It's okay.
Hello. I mean, those on our tube, her eyes are rolling so hard. So hard.
I can roll my eyes without rolling them. There's a certain look.
It's the usual Haley nonsense. Good morning.
Good morning. I
Yes.
want to hear about your retirement vision.
I want my parents' life. My parents' life that they have right now.
okay.
Yeah, right now. Their retirement life. Spouse, I can whatever. You know, that's out of my hands. That is up to the universe. Optional, but I've been like toying with the idea. I don't even know how. Don't ask me about the logistics. I want an adult daughter when I'm 65.
Okay.
Yeah. Without
Get cranky.
But then here's the thing, without like the child, the
childbirth and rearing,
infant, toddler, especially teenager part. Like I want a 32 to 34-year-old-ish, like well-settled adult daughter for when I'm 65. But then I don't want the middle part. So I don't know. What do I do?
So you want your parents' life and you want you.
Exactly.
As a child.
I want a
get
Haley
it.
Jr., but not when I was like 20 because that wasn't pretty.
All right. Now that we know a little bit more about your future vision, marriage optional.
Delusion, you mean?
I was trying to be nice.
Thank you. So nice.
Okay. Well, diving into our top stories, earlier this month, we covered some of the changes coming this year, including widened childcare support and workplace flexibility for working parents. But for some workplaces, this only exists in theory.
I mean, I jest about wanting to skip over that middle part, but this really kind of is a picture into why some people are struggling.
Right.
So, of course, the South Korean government has been focusing on getting more people and also more workplaces to use or let their employees use childcare leave,
Yes.
right? It's been effective to a certain extent. We know people who are on childcare leave. However, there is a gap between companies where you can, namely public institutions, larger corporations, versus smaller companies that really can't afford to do that. And that gap's actually been widening.
Yes. So let's talk about this gap. How big is it?
Right. So we're going to cite a labor ministry survey on work life or work-home life balance. Larger corporations in Korea, we define them as companies that have 300 or more employees. So here, over 89%, so almost 90% of respondents said all qualified employees who have children who are of that age can go on childcare leave. So almost all of them.
Yes.
For those of them who did use this leave, the average maximum period they could use, almost 13 months. So a year plus 1 month.
Yes.
And this applies to those who are on fertility treatments. There is leave for that. It's called 난임 치료 휴가, where 80% of, once again, respondents from larger corporations said they could use all of their allotted leave period.
I have a feeling, though, an inkling that for smaller businesses, that number is much lower.
Trust your gut. So businesses, we're talking real small, 5 to 9 employees, because businesses with under 5 employees don't really fall under labor law, so there's an exception.
Yes.
For these small businesses, only 60% said they could go on leave or use up all of it. 18% said no amount of leave is available.
Oh.
And I wonder, like, even for when you give birth? Anyways, for those who did manage to go on leave,
yes,
the maximum period was a full month shorter than those who worked for larger corporations. In terms of fertility treatments, less than half said they could use full fertility treatment leave.
I see. Do we know the reason behind this?
Right. So almost 36% of respondents who said they were not really allowed or they felt uncomfortable using the leave because of the work burden for colleagues and supervisors that would be left in their absence.
Sure.
31% said it also went to their corporate culture or work culture where you had that 눈치, where you just couldn't use the leave.
Yes.
So to that end, the government is going to try to incentivize companies by basically increasing the stipend, paying them more to hire replacement personnel from the current 1.2 million won per month to 1.4 million won.
I see. All right, let's move on to our next story. South Korea has fairly affordable healthcare, but apparently that doesn't mean like the costs like don't accumulate over your lifetime.
Right. So this is an eye-opening figure. So without keep eye contact with me. So this is an eye-opening figure of how much a person spends at the doctors, clinics, hospital throughout their lifetime.
Sure.
Would you like to take a wild guess?
Oh
총
gosh.
인생
Okay.
총 병원비.
Not looking.
Waivers. I would also like you to hazard a guess. 인생 총 병원비는 대충
얼마일까요?
얼마일까요?
Well, as we get older,
얼마나 쓰고 I mean, not want to.
Yeah,
no one
yeah.
wants to. 0, please. But like you should or you feel the need to.
I have a feeling it's going to be high because like you could probably tend to go a lot more when you're older.
Right.
So I have no idea.
All right. So it is 250 million won. 2억 5천만 원.
That's like
yeah.
a small house.
That is like a small, well, depending on where, that could be a big house too.
Right.
For US dollars, I mean, currency rate being what it is, it's $170,000 per person. And this is according to analysis by the National Health Insurance Corporation, data from 2023.
Okay.
But this is good news. This isn't your out-of-pocket expense. Not all of it. Take a breathe.
Okay.
Is okay. This
Okay.
is what's covered under the National Healthcare Insurance, plus out-of-pocket expenses and treatments that are just generally not covered by insurance.
Right.
네, 여러분 2억 5천만 원은 건강보험 적용되고 환자 부담금, 비급여 모두 합친 금액입니다.
Okay, because
Yes.
like Tommy was guessing Edok wrong. 2억 5천. But what's notable wasn't just how much, but the when.
You're exactly right. Of course, people do tend to spend more when they're older. You know,
Sure.
that happens. That is
Right.
physics, right? So at what age do you spend the most on healthcare and hospital bills? Well, 20 years ago, that
Yes.
peak was 71 years old. At that point, that year, 1.7 million won. Huge difference now. 78 years old.
Oh.
And then the peak, though, the spending, 4.46 million won. So it went from 170만 원 to 446만 원.
Yes.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, that's not 1.7. So 1억 7천만 원 to, so anyways, let's just keep, so yes, much, much higher, about 3 times.
Yes.
Makes sense, though. Longevity. So women, because they do tend to live about 6 years older lifespan on average, women tend to spend way more on healthcare than men. So, that makes sense.
Yes. And how should we, or what should we read into this 78-year kind of peak right there?
There's both good news and bad news,
Okay.
right? Because good news, well, you're living longer. So you are going to be healthier as for 77 years and then more hospital spending on 78 years.
Yes.
So the healthy life expectancy, which is really important, that's getting longer. But then financially, though, because the money unless you have rent coming in or some other form of income. You statistically will likely have more funds at 71 as opposed to 78 and older. So that older peak in your spending can put a heavier financial strain. So in fact, experts say that for every year added onto the life expectancy, medical costs increase by 52% on the insurance system. So this isn't just an individual issue, it's a social issue as well.
Right.
So what is the key? Being healthy for as long as we humanly can, of course. So that'll, of course, affect our specific individual quality of life, but also the burden or the cost to society. So what are experts proposing? Well, for individuals, be healthy, get out there, maintain a healthy body weight. If you're smoking, quit. If you're drinking, drink less. But then in terms of larger policy initiative, preventive medicine. So, for early detection of chronic illnesses, that'll have drastic differences on the results.
Yes, indeed. All right, we're going to move on to some international news. U.S. President Donald Trump has pulled the country out of dozens of international organizations, right?
Right. This is round 2, so if the story sounded like deja vu because it's happened before. But this time, the U.S. will withdraw from 66 international organizations under President Trump's executive order.
Yes.
And this is a solidifying move for the America First or even U.S. isolationist policy. So on Wednesday of local time, President Trump signed an executive order that suspends U.S. support for 66 organizations, a lot of them including UN-affiliated organizations like the UN Population Agency or the UNFCCC Climate Framework.
Right. What's the reason for this move?
Right. So wokeness. That has always been the hot button issue with the Trump administration and these international organizations, agencies, and their initiative.
Okay.
The U.S. State Department in a statement said that these institutions were redundant in their scope, basically repetitive. They were being mismanaged, unnecessary, wasteful, poorly run, and or advancing their own agendas.
I see.
For round 1, the administration had previously pulled out of the WHO, the World Health Organization, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, the Human Rights Council, and the UN Cultural Agency or UNESCO.
Right. Well, at the same time, President Trump called for vastly increasing U.S. military spending.
An increase of 50% from last year's budget. So on a social media page, President Trump called for U.S. defense spending to be increased to $1.5 trillion next year from the current budget of $901 billion. In separate posts that followed, he also rushed defense contractors to speed up the delivery of arms and build new manufacturing plants, even threatening to crack down on payouts to bosses and shareholders if they basically didn't hurry up.
I see. The reason behind this call for increased spending?
A dream military. I'm citing Trump's words. For the U.S. to build this dream military, which will keep the country safe and secure in these, what also he called, troubled and dangerous times.
Well, okay, that's what he wants. But in theory, in reality, is this financially feasible?
Right. So depends on whom you ask.
Okay.
President Trump said that Washington can easily hit the proposed trillion, now $1.5 trillion defense budget, thanks to money that's being brought in by tariffs. Economists, however, they've always warned that the gap between what the U.S. brings in terms of its government revenue versus what it's been spending has become too wide, unsustainable. So again, depends.
Okay. Well, let's go to our final story for our number 1. The chairman of Printsgroup, pointed to as one of the key forces behind Cambodia's scam rings, has been arrested.
He has. So the chair of Printsgroup, Chen Zi, he's suspected of building this vast scam empire, as some have called it, across Cambodia. He has been arrested and is being sent to China, actually. So the Cambodian Interior Ministry issued a statement saying that it has arrested 3 Chinese nationals, including Chen Zi, and extradited, so sent them to China as part of a cooperation network in transnational crime. Chen is said to have allegedly grown his business by cozying up with high-ranking officials and politicians in Cambodia and accumulated this immense wealth through the scams.
And why was he extradited, though?
Right. So, and also why to China?
Right.
Well, because he was born in China. He obtained Cambodian citizenship in 2014.
Okay.
And there have been allegations that a reason for that is basically to use it as a shield to avoid overseas extradition.
I see.
However, Cambodia, in a rare move, revoked his citizenship last month upon the decision that these crimes are very serious. He's also wanted by U.S. and UK authorities. However, in terms of extraditing him to China, of course, he is, again, Chinese national or was. But then it also reports say this may have been the path of least resistance by Cambodia. Number one, if they dealt with him on their soil, it would increase scrutiny by the U.S. and UK authorities.
Right.
And they both have sanctions on Prince Group and also on Chen. And this also matched with China's interest or preference to handle these very sensitive cases in its own court, not in the Western courts.
I see. Well, thanks for giving us an update on what's been happening in Cambodia. We'll check in with you in hour number 2. So thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
And it is now time for... this song I'm going to dedicate to all the people out there who want to get married. So for our Tweetybird PD님, 내 노는 남편과 함께 재발이라고 하네요. 네, Dear Future Husband by Megan Trainor.
Dear future husband, here's a few things you need to know if you wanna be my one and only. All my life. Take me on a date, I deserve a bait. And don't forget the flowers every anniversary. Cause if you treat me right, I'll be the perfect wife. Buying groceries, buying what you need. You got that 9 to 5, but baby so do I. So don't be thinking I'll be home and making apple pies. I never learned to cook, but I can ride a hook. Sing along with me, sing along with me. Hey, you gotta know how to treat me like a lady, even when I'm acting crazy. Tell me everything's alright. Dear future husband, here's a few things you need to know if you wanna be my one and only all my life. Dear future husband, if you wanna get that special loving, tell me I'm beautiful each and every night. After every fight, just apologize, and maybe then I'll let you try and rock my body right. Even if I was wrong, you know I'm never wrong. Why disagree? Why disagree? You gotta know how to treat me like a lady, even when I'm acting crazy. Tell me everything's alright. Dear future husband, here's a few things you need to know if you wanna be my one and only all my life. Dear future husband, make time for me, don't leave me lonely, and Lord will never see your family more than mine. I'll be sleeping on the left side of the bed. Hey. Open doors for me and you might get some kisses. Don't have a dirty mind, just be a classy guy. Buy me a ring, buy me a ring. You gotta know how to treat me like a lady, even when I'm acting crazy. Tell me everything's alright. Dear future husband, here's a few things you need to know if you wanna be my one and only all my life. Dear future husband, if you wanna get that special loving, tell me I'm beautiful each and every night. Oh, future husband, better love me right.
It's time for Foreign Press Highlights. Casey's here. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine.
How are you?
Good. I'm
Yay.
happy to be here on this Friday morning with
That's
you.
right. And our text topic today, we're talking about how you envision your retirement.
Oh,
Where are you going to be? With whom?
when will this happen?
I don't know. And
Can you imagine being retired?
you know, I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I actually talk about it a lot with my roommate. And
Sure.
like,
It's
just
fantasy.
like fantasizing,
Right.
right? I was just like, I want to be This is so okay.
Oh,
this
cool.
is fantasizing.
Okay,
right?
come on.
I was like,
let's have it.
if we're still in Korea, I was like, okay, I want to go not rural. Like if, for example, if I can get next day delivery on things,
You got
then it's
standards.
okay. Because you know, in some areas they don't have like next day delivery. So
In
like,
Korea?
yeah, for real. In the really rural areas, you
real?
cannot get next day delivery on certain items. So ideally, I can go rural, but as long as they have the next day delivery, and once in a while, if I want chicken delivered, 거기까지는 okay. Okay, I can deal with that.
Cool.
And I want to live like near a golf course because I
Really?
want to go golfing. That is, she's sweating already because I have had so many injuries. Like I show up on a Monday and my arm, I'm always trying to hide it.
I remember you telling me this. Yeah, you're
And then
right.
like I have a brace on my ankle, my foot. And she's like, oh my God, not again. I'm like, yeah.
So you know you're not supposed to kick the ball.
It's out of frustration.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So where do you see yourself?
I don't. I don't
don't?
see like, retiring. Like I can't imagine like ever not working. I don't know. I'm in that mindset. Like
Oh, I by the way,
yeah.
I can't imagine that either.
Right. Like
I'll be working from home.
okay, you'll be doing something. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I guess like having more time on your hands is the idea, right?
Yes.
I can't even imagine that.
Even that?
No. I just imagine I'll be working until the end.
The end of your life. Okay. On that note,
Yeah.
we're going to dive into foreign press highlights. What
Quickly.
are we going to talk about?
Movies, actually. Have you seen any good
Oh.
movies lately that you've enjoyed?
It's been such a long time that I've actually
Same.
I've gone like to a movie theater physically.
Right.
I don't even remember when. And like people always like send me, they're like, you got to see this cat in person at a
Right.
theater. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
갈게요. And then I'm like, no.
Not going.
Why? Why do you ask? What have you watched?
The last one I watched was with my son, and it was like one of those, animated CGI animated things.
Ah, okay.
And it was not for me.
Okay.
It was not for me.
Why are we talking about this?
Because the BBC is talking about it.
Oh.
So if you haven't seen this,
Yes.
they've got a recommendation for the headline is South Korea's Movie of the Year, which is an indie story about a teen's trauma. And I was thinking, oh, okay, that's not usually what I watch. Does that sound like your usual kind of movie?
Not always, but I always do like to check out like films or dramas that do portray younger people to see like
Really?
what's so for me, I love hearing and finding out about what young people, what they're interested in, what worries them. But that's me. Yes.
I know. I think I'm with you. Actually, I was thinking about some of the more recent dramas I've seen
Yeah?
on streaming, and they are typically about younger people. I'm with you.
Okay.
Okay, I could watch this
Okay.
too. Okay.
So what is it?
This is called, the English title is The World of Love.
Oh.
The Korean title is 세계주인.
Ooh.
Have you heard?
No.
Okay, let me tell you about it.
Yes.
It's actually made more than $1.1 million at the box office since it debuted in October. And if you're like, oh, well, that doesn't sound like a big deal. It's an indie movie, first of all.
Okay.
But it's also earned the praise of critics and audiences. Viewers in South Korea on the largest search portal
Yes.
have given it 9 out of 10. Which
Really?
So that's pretty well rated. Plus, if you need somebody with a name, Bong Joon-ho, who, if you don't know who he is, he directed Parasite. He's also the first Korean to win an Oscar. He says it's simply a masterpiece.
Really?
He also calls himself the head of the Seoul branch of Yoon Ga-eun's fan club. Are you familiar with the name?
I was
Yoon
going to
Ga?
ask you,
Okay.
who's Yoon-ga?
Okay, so the article introduces her as well. She's the
Okay.
director of this film. And they say right in the article that her name was probably not a name most people in Korea would know until now.
I was going to say, because I was like,
Yes.
I mean, we're on air, but I'm like, who might she be?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, she is the director of this film.
Yes.
And the movie is about a teenager who is a survivor of sexual violence. It became a very unexpected hit. So they actually interviewed her at a studio in Seoul in late November to talk about it. And she says it really hasn't sunk in yet. She feels almost blank, just grateful, and also a bit scared.
Oh, scared? Scared of what?
I hate when articles do this. They don't tell me. So I guess I have to imply what she's scared about.
Okay, what is she scared about?
It seems that, maybe she's gotten more attention than she expected. And I think most people didn't expect the attention that the film's gotten.
Okay.
They say the film has resonated in a deeply patriarchal country where women say they fight hard just to be heard. And its surprising success is a sign of the growing willingness to engage in conversations about sexual violence and how survivors are treated.
Ooh. Treated by Whom?
Well, directors, for one. So when she set out to make this film, she said she was determined to explore the fullness of Juin's life, who's the main character.
Okay.
And Juin actually is not a coincidence. It means in Korean owner or master, which... right?
Juin.
Juin, yeah. My pronunciation is awful.
No, I was like, does it?
Juin.
Oh, Juin.
Yeah, Juin.
Juin 맞죠?
Juin.
Yes.
But basically, the choice of that name also kind of alludes to having autonomy.
Yes.
Right? Being her own master, in other words. And she actually, when she had journalists who attended the media screening, she gave them handwritten letters asking them to avoid mentioning sexual violence while covering the film, which is interesting because if that's the topic of the film, why would you want to avoid that?
Right.
But she said the idea is the story is more about how we look at her. So she didn't want to just simply like pin the label of childhood sexual abuse survivor on the main character.
I see. I
You know
see.
what I mean?
Right.
Okay.
And why did she feel that this was so important that she wanted to emphasize this? Like, don't zero in on this aspect.
Right, even though that's the topic that she chose to film, right? So she said she didn't want to make the film predictable.
Okay.
So she did a lot of research and she said she watched pretty much everything that was out there on this kind of subject. She actually spoke with survivors and consulted activists. And she said like through those conversations, they kind of shattered her own prejudices and kind of what she felt as ignorance that can end up reducing a person entirely to their wound. If that makes any sense?
No, the way you explained it, it does make sense.
Oh,
at least
good.
to me, because it's like you want to be seen as a person first,
right?
And not, something that happened to you or labeled as the girl that, was sexually assaulted or whatever it might be in the storyline. So I get it. Now I understand why.
Yeah, and apparently that's worked pretty well to her advantage for this film. They say in the article that the people who like the film say it does challenge stereotypes that we do project onto survivors of sexual crimes, and it encourages audiences to see them differently, to see them people who are actually a part of society, trying to live their lives like anybody else.
Sure. And
they talked to Seoljin Won, who's a children's book editor who actually watched the film in Seoul. She said the cinema felt completely silent as the film ended. She said, no one rushed to leave. I stayed and watched the end credits, and I walked out of the cinema thinking, I want to be a good adult who can stand beside all the children and teenagers who are trying so hard to grow up.
Wow.
So it's like touching a lot of people, yeah.
I got chills as you just, shared that little bit.
I know.
Now I'm so curious about it because I want to know more about the filmmaker and actually see this film now.
And I do want to say, like, I've given away no plot points whatsoever. This article does. So I went a long way to like avoid that. So if you do read this
around it, right?
Yeah. So if you do read it, it tells you a lot about the story. And I think like the point of it is perhaps maybe to not know what the story is.
Yes.
And just witness these characters, and especially the main character, and just, as a human. So I thought I would kind of avoid the plot points, but there are some people who did push back a little bit on the film as well.
Okay.
Some of the viewers of the film, including survivors of sexual abuse, said it felt unrepresentative of their personal reality because it kind of downplayed the fear and lasting damage of abuse, and portraying families as more supportive than they often are. So, however, of course, any movie is going to have people who enjoy it and people who don't.
Of course.
According to critic Min Young-jun, the mark of a good film isn't how many people liked it versus people who didn't like it. What matters is whether it creates a space in which we can talk to each other about what it has put on the table. And that's a big point of this article is like,
yes.
Okay, apparently people are ready to take on this subject as something to watch in a film and discuss it. So that's kind of a big change, is what they're trying to say here.
I agree. The fact that we're even talking about it here on our program, because it made enough of a splash, speaks volumes, I think. So.
And this splash is being made, all the way in the UK. So.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing this story with our listeners out there. Let's move on to our next one, though.
Okay, this one is quite a different topic. This is something that, this is from CNN. And even though Korea is not mentioned in the title, Korea is a big focus of it.
Okay.
And the headline is, an aversion to alcohol is moving the global party scene in an unexpected direction. And this is one of those titles I was like, what? So I wanted to know more. And I was like, oh, wow, this is largely about Korea.
Okay.
And my question for you is, have you ever been to a rave?
Shall I be completely honest?
Yeah, please.
Back in the day, of course.
Oh, okay, cool.
I mean, okay, up through high school, 고등학교 졸업할 때까지는 I was like the model student.
Right.
But in, university,
Things happen.
Became an adult. I've been to a rave. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, here I'm going to tell you about a rave in Seoul.
Okay.
This is in October. And see if this sounds familiar to you. So the person going to this rave, she's in this article quite a bit. Her name is Park Ji-hyun. She got up at 5:30 a.m. to go to the rave on a Saturday morning.
Wait, slow down.
Sorry.
She woke up at 5:30 a.m.
Right.
새벽에 to go to a rave?
That's right.
That is so different.
And instead of a miniskirt,
Yes.
she wore a pair of running tights. And instead of heels, she used running shoes. And instead of taking a cab to get there, she ran from her apartment to the venue. Took about an hour. It was a 5-mile run, and then she was ready to dance. Does that sound like the kind of raves?
No, completely. Like, well, first of all, not at 5 a.m.
No.
The sun was not out, and it was like, it was late. Okay.
Right. Okay. So it's kind of the opposite of what I expect from a rave as well.
Yes.
So this kind of movement started in May, and it's in a particular Seoul area. They call it a coffee rave.
A coffee rave.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is so different. So it's basically getting popular. They've got hundreds of people who attend. The ravers, we'll call them. They pay 20,000 won for their ticket. They arrive probably around 7 a.m. They get their drink of choice, maybe an Americano, maybe a matcha. And then by 8, the DJ is playing some tunes. They have a link to the video in the article.
I love this idea.
It's really, you can see, it's a mix of people. There are Korean people, there are people not from Korea. There's at least one little kid who's like, why am I on camera? But
dragging your kid to the rave.
Well, and apparently that's not unique. Apparently it's like all ages welcome.
Okay.
And according to the founder, Park Jae-hyun, it's a fresh start to the day, even though it's very early in the morning.
Yes.
Everyone looks very excited and happy, even without alcohol.
Oh, I like this idea.
Yeah.
Would you go?
No. I don't.
Oh, really?
I don't think I could. Like, could you?
Yeah, because I'm always up at, and well,
You're up
obviously
anyway?
not Monday to Friday because I'm here.
Okay.
On a Saturday or Sunday, I would so
Saturday.
go.
Would you?
Yeah. I'm a morning person, so.
And that's who this is for.
Okay.
And that's a big part of this article as well. They're saying like this kind of thing is, they're serving an underserved crowd in Korea. There are a lot of morning people. And that's who they're especially appealing to.
Ooh.
And typically morning people, they say, are non-drinkers here in South Korea. And I assume that might be, yeah.
Me.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. So, this could be for you.
Okay.
And they say, actually, they talked to a British content creator who is living in Seoul. She says when you're partying and drinking at night, you kind of lose energy throughout the night and you start to feel not so good by the end. But it's the opposite when you do like a morning rave.
Yes.
It kind of builds up your energy for the rest of the day. I don't know if that would work for me or not, but
No, I totally see it. Leslie says we have coffee shop raves here, meaning in the States in Colorado as
they
well.
talk about that.
Oh, they do?
This is like
Okay,
a worldwide thing now. Not just
Apparently.
coffee shops, bakeries.
I can do this because I'm not a drinker.
Yeah.
And by the way, when I went to raves when I was younger, of legal age, I didn't drink then either. So it was
that
totally
kinda
sober.
hard?
No, I actually enjoy any type of activity, partying. I can just go with the flow without alcohol, and it's fun.
Even if
For
you're
me.
like in a room, like at late night raves,
Yeah.
if people are like, clearly out of their minds.
I like people watching.
Okay.
I
And
like-
there's plenty of that. Today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Fair enough.
it's okay.
Cool.
So you say maybe because you're not a morning person, like on
I'm
the
not.
weekends, it would not be your thing.
It would just be hard for me, but I really think it's cool and I would like to try it. If I could actually get up early enough to make it happen. I don't know about running a mile beforehand to get there, but
Oh, I'm all for that
You
too.
could do that as well?
Yeah. I could do that.
Very cool.
I'm happy that I could do that now. By the way, our board on our YouTube page split. Because we have like Kijung-nim who's like saying 5 a.m. is kind of crazy. And then we have other people saying, oh, they're all for it. And then Tommy saying no.
yeah.
It's a hard no. So it really depends on the type of person you are, right?
I think so. And they say actually, Seoul is kind of well known for being like a nightlife place.
Yes.
But there is a lot of attention being paid to this. And there is a lot of people that are trying to lead a healthier, booze-free lifestyle.
Right.
They say especially Gen Zers and young millennials.
It's a thing now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they're like completely dry, but the tendency is to lead healthier, drink less,
Yeah.
right? And I hope one of these days, I'm gonna look around my area. I'm gonna try this. I love it.
Please post it on social media so we can see what goes on.
All right. Well, we are gonna call it a wrap. But thank you so much for bringing us such interesting, diverse stories today. And of course, we'll check in with you soon. And are you going to be gone for a while?
Should I say?
Is it okay to say? Okay, so
okay. All right. Yes, I'll see you in quite a few weeks. Yes, I'll be going to the U.S. for a vacation.
Yes,
next week,
well deserved. So enjoy your time off.
This is my early retirement.
Yes, I want my flaming hot ding dings.
Oh, okay, I got you. I got you.
You know I'm kidding, right? But
I'm not kidding.
Okay, so enjoy your vacation. We'll see you soon.
All right.
Everybody, this was Casey. Don't worry, he'll be back soon. And next week, you're going to have to tune in to find out who's going to fill in for Casey. A little teaser. A final song for hour number 1, Everybody's Changing by Keen and Joy. I'll be back at 8.
부산영어방송.
기업체 사장님들 아직도 직영으로 식당 운영하고 계십니까? 위탁급식과 도시락 전문기업 더 좋은 푸드에 맡겨보십시오. 운영비 절감 효과 확실합니다. 식대는 협의 후 맞춰드립니다. 지역 부산 경남 051-784-0877 051-784-0877.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산, 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
I was so busy this morning. I didn't even get to check my messages. I almost got hit.
Here comes the safety hero. Stop right there, Smombi. Put your phone away. Keep your head up. Look around.
What was I doing?
Thank you.
I'm finally free from being a smombie.
As you just heard, even a quick text could lead to a serious accident. This kind of behavior has a name, Smombi, a word created by combining smartphone and zombie.
Walk with your head up and check your surroundings before you move. Let's build a safer traffic culture and keep our streets free from smombies. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산영어방송.
Hello, BFM listeners. Happy New Year. 2026 has begun. 2026 is the year of the Red Horse. The Red Horse stands for passion and energy. We hope this year brings you new challenges and positive changes. Just like always, BEFM will be here in 2026, bringing you better and more diverse programs and staying with you from the start of your day to the end. We wish you a happy new year and hope you tune into BEFM all year long. Once again, Happy New Year!
지역 경제가 힘차게 출발합니다. 기업들이 고객을 향해 더 빨리 가려면 방송 광고라는 엑셀을 밟으세요. 경제도 기업도 더 힘차게 달려가니까요. 방송 광고의 작은 힘, 경제의 큰 힘입니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It is now 8 o'clock. Welcome back. This is Spotlight News. Final hearing for ex-president's insurrection trial scheduled for today. The prosecution will make its sentencing request for former President Yoon Suk-yeol at the final hearing of its insurrection trial scheduled for this morning at 10 a.m. Yoon faces charges of having allegedly led an insurrection for his martial law declaration on December 3rd, 2024, along with the former defense minister, key military commanders, and police leadership who are standing trial alongside the ousted former president. There is heightened attention over the prosecution's sentencing request as the only legal sentencing for insurrection is the death penalty, life imprisonment, or life imprisonment without labor. Defense Counterintelligence Command to be dismantled. The Defense Ministry will seek to disband the Defense Counterintelligence Command for its alleged involvement in ex-President Yoon Suk-yeol's martial law imposition, marking the organization's dissolution after 49 years. Its commander is standing trial for allegedly deploying troops to the National Assembly and the National Election Commission on the night of martial law. While the command has been renamed several times under different governments amid criticism over its influential role, it marks the first time the organization will be dismantled since its establishment in 1977. MBK chairman faces potential arrest over Home Plus management. The Seoul Central District Court will hold a hearing next Tuesday to rule on the arrest warrants for the chairman of private equity firm MBK Partners, Kim Byung-ju, and 3 other senior executives over the management of Home Plus. MBK Partners has been accused of allegedly selling a large-scale short-term bond of HomePlus around the time of the credit downgrade for the retailer after it acquired the grocery chain from a British retailer for 7.2 trillion won in 2015. On February 28th of last year, Korea Ratings downgraded its credit rating of HomePlus to A3- from A3. HomePlus asked the court to grant rehabilitation proceedings 4 days later. Samsung Electronics posts record 20 trillion won estimated profit in fourth quarter. Samsung Electronics yesterday reported a record-breaking operating profit for the fourth quarter, touching the 20 trillion won mark for the first time, driven by a supercycle in the chip industry. The fourth quarter operating profit marked an over 200% rise from a year earlier, which, if confirmed, would mark a record first for the country's top chip maker. Analysts said the increased earnings apparently came amid improved profitability at the Core Semiconductor Device Solutions, or DS division. The company will release its final earnings report later this month. U.S. involvement in Venezuela could last years, Trump says. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that his country's involvement in Venezuela could last for years, adding that his administration will oversee the running of the country. Trump also did not say if or when elections would be held in Venezuela to replace the interim government headed by Maduro loyalist Delcy Rodriguez. Meanwhile, Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado said the ouster of Maduro had set off an irreversible process that would lead Venezuela to be free. This was Spotlight News. It's time for our special interview. Phrases like make yourself at home and there's no place like home highlight how important our homes are, not just as physical spaces, but as anchors for our well-being. As a new year begins, many of us think about doing a major cleanup to start fresh. Well, research by Professor Joseph Ferrari and collaborators define clutter as an overabundance of possessions that collectively create chaotic and disorderly living spaces. And experts say that clutter can actually disturb one's sense of home. So today, we're going to speak with Professor Ferrari, co-author of The Dark Side of Home, to learn more about how our living spaces affect our well-being and how we can approach organizing them effectively. So let me introduce him a little bit more. This is Dr. Joseph Ferrari, Distinguished Professor of Psychology of College of Science and Health at DePaul University and permanent deacon in the Catholic faith, serving the people of the Diocese of Joliet. Hi, Professor. Hi, Dr. Ferrari. Welcome to the program.
Welcome. Good morning, and thanks for not delaying on this. I appreciate it.
Yes. Well, to start off, can you briefly describe a healthy concept of home? What is home to you? What makes a home truly supportive?
Well, we talk about it in research as psychological home. All right, home is not a dwelling, not a place. The home can be, but that's more a house. A home is something more affective, something we feel. You know, we say, you eat me out of house and home. Whenever we're together, that's my home. We travel and we can't wait to go home. Home it's interesting because that's probably the one politically incorrect accepted insult. When we call someone homeless, as if somehow you're less than other people because you don't have home. As you may have heard, the proper term is really unhoused. It's not homeless, it's unhoused. Many people who are unhoused have a community, have a home. So what is home? Home is some sort of a state. When I began this research a number of years ago, I remember doing research, and military people would say to me, yeah, my family travels around every few years. You know, my mom, my dad would be deployed in another place, and we always had a sense of home. It wasn't the dwelling. I'm of a certain generation where we had phone numbers, landlines, like you're calling me today, and no matter where you traveled in the world, you could call that number, and that number, you always knew someone would be at home. That would be the signal of home. Now we all walk around with portable phones. So have we lost the sense of home? Another question, another issue.
Well, thank you for clarifying. And I like that idea. It's not a physical house necessarily, but psychologically what we call home. In your research, Dr. Ferrari, you define clutter as an overabundance of possessions that collectively create chaotic and disorderly living spaces. Can you further explain this? Yes, but we want your explanation. Can you explain this?
Sure. Okay, so there's sort of a tipping point where you have too much stuff. I guess we kindly call it's kind of interesting, isn't it, that when it's our possessions, it's my stuff. But when it's somebody else, we call it their. It also begins with an S. It's something else.
Yes.
So it's kind of interesting. So there's an overabundance. Well, how much is overabundance? That depends. But there's like a tipping point. There's a point where now it's too much, and it impacts on your life. When Dr. Catherine Roster and I, from the University of New Mexico here in the United States, and I started our research on home and clutter, particularly clutter, we developed the Clutter Quality of Life Scale. And do you have a moment for me to go through what it assesses? Kind of answers your question there?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And when we
talk about clutter, we're looking about how does it impact the livability of my space. So one of the dimensions we look at is livability. Does it cause me distress and have some sort of emotional reaction? It doesn't necessarily be negative, but we'll talk about that. How does it impact the relationship with others? Sometimes we don't often hear people talk about that. You know, the other person's clutter impacts the other person. And then financial well-being. How does the possession impact all the items that I own? We live in this culture, at least in the U.S., Western culture here, of consumerism. It's buy, more. I'm only happy if I own more and more stuff. But what's interesting is that we found a negative relationship. The more clutter you have, the lower your sense of home, the lower your sense of life satisfaction. So we're told, no, have more, buy this, and you actually wind up having less. Now, why do we buy so much? Well, because it's so easy. I don't have to get out of my chair. I can sit on my couch, and I can use I gather in South Korea you have the same thing. TV shows where you can buy things. The home shopping networks. Right? So I don't have to leave my chair. And this person on the show says, oh, you got to have this. Without this, your life is nothing. Oh, it's important. And, you know, we're going to save the shipping costs. We'll send it to you for free, and you'll get it tomorrow or the next day. So it's so easy. All you have to do is click a button. And so we're told, buy.
Yes, indeed. This consumerism that you've been talking about, Professor. Well, Dr. Ferrari, are there certain areas in one's physical home that tend to become more cluttered, I guess more easily? And why is that so?
Yep. Okay. Most of the research that Dr. Roster and I have done, in fact, all of it, we work with decluttering coaches. There are people who are professionals, and I believe you have them in South Korea, whose job, who you hire to help you declutter. We can talk about some of the practical there in a moment. And what the decluttering coaches have said is that the three areas in the home where people have most clutter is the kitchen, the closet, and books. So people have lots of kitchen gadgets. You know, do you really need 8 spatulas? Do you really need 4 toasters or something like that? And then the closet. Do you really need 8 pairs of blue pants? You know, so we have more and more of this stuff. And then books. People have most books. So those, to answer your question, short answer is yes, there are areas. And what are they? The closet, the kitchen, and books.
Interesting. Well, I'm sure many people probably listening are thinking, oh, that's me. I agree with you, those three areas. And some people, they may feel overwhelmed or feel guilty when they see such a big mess, like cluttering in their kitchen or etc. Well, how can people approach cleaning, decluttering in a way that feels manageable and even maybe rewarding?
Right. Now we're getting into the how-to. And the decluttering coaches would first tell you, do not go out and buy container boxes. Don't go to the big box store and get that. Organize. The first, their title, ICD, stands for the Institute for Challenging Disorganization. So these decluttering coaches say it's all a question of disorganization. You have to organize all that you have and look at that, and then that empowers you. So going back to my closet example, so you go in your closet and you see, gee, I got 8 pairs of blue pants. Do I really need all those pairs of blue pants? And so you organize that, and then you see I have too much of this. So before you run out, for the new year here as we start decluttering, organize first, and that empowers you. Because it makes you see, wow, I have so much stuff. A second point is that you don't touch the items yourself. I know that there is a common expression to touch it and keep it if it gives you joy. That's got a lot of problems, that statement, and I can talk about that if you want. But you never touch the item yourself, because we know in research and in practical behavior, if you touch the item, you're going to keep the item. Consumer psychologists say that if you go to the store and you pick the item up in the store, you buy the item. And so you never touch it. You have somebody else touch it. So you have your friend. Now, these decluttering coaches, of course, say, no, hire us. Hire us, give us a job. But I say, yeah, you can do that. Or you can have a good friend of yours hold it and say, now, do you really need this? Have you worn this in the last 18 months? Has it been a while? Because if you touch it, the tactile sense, you're more likely to keep it. So consumer psychologists, research says, don't touch, because you'll buy it. The practical advice coaches say, don't touch, you'll keep it. And yet we have this mantra that's out there to touch it and keep it if it gives you joy. What? No. Not based on science.
Yes. I love that. I need to get my friend over to my closet ASAP. Well, for someone who might be wanting to start the year fresh, what is maybe the first step you would recommend? Because some people feel, once again, really overwhelmed. Like, where do I begin, right?
Yep. They the old expression, don't miss the forest for the trees. No, these people see the forest and they go, oh my God, look at all those trees. Right? They're overwhelmed. They see too much of that. So the first thing you do is you start small. You do a little box at a time. All right. Now, I don't know if my wife is listening, but my wife was an elementary teacher for 40 years and had I stopped counting after 66 boxes of school stuff that she brought home.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So she tackled it. I know, I stopped counting. So the point is, she went through one box, and she goes through one box at a time. Now, I think she's down to 8 or 10. There's certainly a lot less. Okay? But I can either be angry that there's still 8, or I can say, wow, look at all the almost 50 that she got rid of. So you go small. You do a little bit at a time. Don't be suckered in by this consumerism. You know, the Hindu monk spends 7 years trying to get rid of everything they own except for 2 monk friar outfits, 2 bowls, and 2 spoons. All right? So you don't need all this stuff. The problem is we have our needs, we have our wants that we have been told has to be a need.
I see.
We want something, and that's different. Go ahead.
Well, we've run out of time. We would love to have you on again because such good information. So I want to wish you a really happy new year, Dr. Ferrari, and thank you for the great information today.
Great. And I do hope we speak again, because I mentioned when we were setting this up, 15 minutes is not enough to go through this topic.
Absolutely.
People have collected stuff for years, and 15 minutes ain't going to do it. Happy New Year to you. May all good things happen to you and your family and friends.
Thank you.
And for those listening, start small. You're not alone. Hey, can I just give you one last thing?
Yes.
There's no significant gender difference with clutter.
Oh.
Some people say men have more or women have more. No. And I'll save the details on that for the next time we talk. Okay.
Absolutely.
Bye.
We look forward to it. Bye. Once again, everybody, this was our special interview. Our very passionate Dr. Joseph Ferrari talking about decluttering. And maybe we can do that. Start small. And I love that. Don't touch. Have your friend pick it up for you. And I'll be back with your traffic and weather.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan. Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan.
Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for your updated traffic. There's an accident right before the Olympic intersection coming down from Gwangan Bridge. So, yes, that's causing some backup right now. It's congested on Chungnyeol-daero from Minam to Daeseong intersection. It's backed up on Nakdong-Namno from Gangso Police Station to Seongsan Three-Way intersection. There's also traffic building on Beonyeonglo from Daeyeon to Gwangan Tunnel. Currently, it's -3. It's going to go up to 7 today. Busan City is under a dry weather special report. It is going to be warmer today across the country compared to yesterday, especially starting in the afternoon. Tomorrow, significantly warmer. A low of 6, a high of 11, and then back at it Sunday, morning low of -3 and a high of just 3 degrees Celsius under clear skies. This was your updated traffic and weather. It's time for Wagle Tea Time. Haley's back.
Finally here, as Professor
know.
Ferrari is giving me a run for my money.
I know.
Yeah. It's great, though.
The response is so amazing. We love him too. So we'll try to have him back on like a part 2.
Yeah, but then for those of you who say organizing gives you peace, come over. I'll invite you. I'll feed you. But 놀러 오세요. 예.
See,
제발.
in my house, we have, designated chores that people do. I am not the organizer, cleaner, nor declutterer.
None of that.
None of that. So anyhow, we're going to jump into our first story. We covered the story of a driver who had dozed off at the wheel, killing 2 people. And now we have updates to the story.
Right. So this is in reference to the SUV driver who had rammed into an accident site, killing a police officer and a tow truck driver who were there to clean up.
Right.
He had testified back then to the police that he had fallen asleep at the wheel, so 졸음운전 case. But now, according to Jeonbuk's Gochang Police, the driver also had an adaptive cruise control, or ACC. The police analyzed the vehicle's record and confirmed that the cruise control was on at the time of the accident. And this, by the way, is an exclusive by 한겨레, although other outlets have reported it as well. The police, though, said that the cause of the accident was drowsy driving.
Okay.
And it's unclear exactly what impact the cruise control had on the accident itself.
Right, but we are seeing more and more accidents involving cruise control, right?
Right. So what exactly is adaptive cruise control, ACC? So this is a more advanced driver assistant feature. It automatically adjusts the vehicle's speed in order to maintain the safe preset distance from the car in front of you. However, more and more cases are now proving that you cannot be completely reliant, nor you should be, on this function. So according to the Korea Expressway Corporation, we've seen a handful of accidents involving ACC with a peak of 12 accidents in 2024.
Okay.
In fact, Dutch traffic authorities ran a study that was published last year over adaptive driver assistance functions, and ACC there showed that it actually could increase risk of accidents because drivers, again, if you're too dependent on it, they're likely to not really look ahead of them.
It's a tool. It should not be dependent on fully. Well, let's move to this story. The Kimpo-Goldrain Metro has been notorious for how crowded it is, but it seems that the situation has gotten particularly bad lately.
Right. So this uber popular metro or light rail line between Gimpo and Seoul, it's been notorious from the get-go. We've reported on it because this high demand line is only 2 cars. Right? It is incredibly crowded, borderline dangerous at times.
Okay.
So actually there have been a couple of accidents or incidents of people who expressed physical symptoms while they were riding on the train. So according to Kimpo-Goldrain's SRS, the operator, a woman in her 30s earlier this week expressed difficulty breathing and tingling sensation in her hands.
Oh no.
So the company sent in its own first responder who checked her vitals and condition after she got off the train and had her take a rest for 10 minutes and she felt okay. But then the previous day at 8:25 a.m., peak rush hour, another woman in her 30s also exhibited similar symptoms. About half an hour later, a different woman reported feeling nauseous.
Really?
So it could be the colder weather. We are wearing more layers. So you could be getting overheated. The heater could have been on more strongly. That we don't know yet.
Right.
In any case, the SRS, it has its own medical support team due to the persistent crowdedness issue. They're on standby from 7:30 to 9:30 in the morning on weekdays.
Wow.
So it just goes to show how crowded this place is. The subway company said that none of the passengers exhibited serious health issues. However, again, is this going to be sustainable? Is this truly safe? That is the question.
And I'm sure it's a matter of budget, but I mean, really, can we get more?
Right.
Yes. Well, we're going to go to the U.S. for our next story. A woman was shot and killed by Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. In the U.S. are known as ICE agents, and this happened in Minnesota.
Right. So these ICE raids, they've become a hot button issue, especially under the Trump administration.
Yes.
And that may have reached its peak, a very unfortunate peak with this shooting.
Okay.
So the victim of the shooting has been identified as a 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, who was a U.S. citizen and a mother of 3. The shooting happened during a protest against a surge of ICE operations that have happened in Minneapolis. So court records have identified the suspect as Agent Jonathan David Ross, who's a 10-year veteran of the enforcement and the special response team. However, federal officials have refused to identify him. We'll get to these issues in just a bit.
Okay.
In terms of the geography of it all, the shooting also took place less than a mile away from the George Floyd incident, right? When he was murdered by a Minneapolis police officer in 2020, kind of ground zero for the Black Lives Matter protests.
Yes. However, there are differing accounts as to what actually was happening, like right before the shooting.
Right. So what we know as a fact is that the victim was in her car when the shooting happened.
Okay.
But as to what happened before, accounts differ depending on whom you ask. We're going to go to the federal side of this. The Department of Homeland Security said that the shooting happened as whom they called a violent rioter allegedly attempted to run over the ICE officer. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said that the shooting was defensive to protect himself, and even called Ms. Good a domestic terrorist who weaponized her vehicle. President Donald Trump also defended ICE officers on social media, saying that these incidents, not the shooting itself, but these protests and the unrest that was happening because of what he called the radical left.
But there are, once again, differing accounts.
Right. So going to more of the local scene from Minnesota, Minnesota's Congresswoman, Democrat Ilhan Omar, said that the victim was a legal observer of ICE. So a bit of background, what's been happening with ICE raids is that civilians civilians,
Yes.
citizens will kind of go out on foot or in their cars and honk, yell out ICE to warn people who might be affected, undocumented, that ICE agents are coming. Congressman Omar told media outlets that the victim was shot in the head, in the face multiple times, and that she heard an agent telling the driver to get out of here before the agent allegedly reached across the hood of the car and shot her.
And there are videos now that have surfaced on what happened, right?
Right. So videos have been threaded together. You know, nothing shows the exact angle that we want to for 100% clarity. However, they've been circulating on social media. It shows Good attempting to turn her SUV around and leave the scene as a federal agent attempts to force open the passenger door.
I see.
So at least from the videos that we can see, she was trying to drive away from the scene rather than what the allegations have been, to drive into the agents.
I see.
So yeah, this is going to be a major issue for the foreseeable future. Anti-ICE protests are happening in Minneapolis, and the city's mayor, Jacob Frey, issued a very strongly worded message against ICE. Let's take a listen.
What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. And I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis.
Okay. Well, that's what was said. We're going to leave that story there because if there are further details, we'll report on the story. This is like domestic news. Bringing it back to Korea. There was a fluke at one of the top universities where a whole class, they received Fs, like F. At least it was temporarily, please.
Well, yes. Because you teach.
Yes.
And I've seen you, I've heard you go through this frantic rush of, oh my God, grades are due.
Yes.
You've been, whatever.
Yes.
Before the end of the term. Professors see that, except for this person. So an instructor at Seoul National University Social Sciences Department missed their deadline for entering grades. That was December 26th. Wow. So under the school system, if the grade is left empty, even by the professor in the system, the students are automatically given Fs. Or a U if it's a pass-fail class, unsuccessful, which is basically a fail.
Yes.
So as a result, and the irony of this being Seoul National University, where I'm just gonna assume that not many people in the class have ever gotten Fs before.
Yes.
All 59 of them came out with an F.
Wow. So what did the instructor say regarding why they didn't input the grades?
So the instructor did send notice. They said that their overseas schedule had changed and they will enter the grades by January 2nd. But then also as to why that wasn't maybe cleared up with the school to avoid that F, albeit temporary. However, on January 2nd, they sent out another message saying that they had the flu and they couldn't complete the grades. Okay, things happen. But here's another thing. While this was going on, the instructor was apparently very active on his or her personal blog and social media.
Oh, no.
And the students saw. So they were like, well, if you can't grade or input grades with the flu, you shouldn't be on social media either. If you're going to be sick, be sick. So upon the controversy, the instructor sent out an email apologizing to the students and said that the grades will be made available by either last night or at the latest today at noon. So we shall see.
I don't know about this, though. I mean, as an
thoughts.
educator, I have never missed a deadline, either whether I was sick or not. But anyhow, okay.
Yeah.
At least it's temporary. Well, thank you for all the Woggly news. And of course, thank you for this entire week. We'll check in with you Monday.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, this was Haley. Let's get to our next song. This is San Francisco Street by Sunray.
no real place to stay. Is this the future? And where I'm gonna be? Last night it hit me when I had this crazy dream. I'm waking up in your house on a San Francisco street. We tune out all the nasty weather, and it's something funny, you and me. You were intriguing, just looking at a magazine. Like when I first saw you back in 2003. Then you walked over and said you don't have to be alone. I don't have a crystal ball, but there's no way that I could have known. I've been waking up in your house on a San Francisco street. We tune out all the nasty weather, and it's something funny, you and me. Waking up in your house on a San Francisco street. We tune out all the nasty weather, and it's something funny, you and me. Waking up in your house on a San Francisco street. We tune out all the nasty weather, and it's something funny, you and me. Waking up in your house on a San Francisco street. We tune out all the nasty weather, and it's something funny, you and me. San Francisco street, you and me. Something funny, you and me. You and me. San Francisco street, you and me. Oh.
It's time for Global Affairs. We have Professor Andrew Millard here. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. It's Friday. Always happy to see you because it's a Friday.
So not to see me just because it means it's Friday.
No, of course to see you, but it happens to fall on a Friday, so double happy.
Maybe next week I'll just randomly come in on a Wednesday.
As long as it's not a Monday.
Confuse you.
Yes. Well, I want to get your take on our text topic. Today we've been asking our waivers out there about their retirement vision or fantasy. Where do you see yourself retiring, and with whom, and what are you doing in this fantasy?
Okay. So realistically,
yes,
the way my family spends money,
yes,
I will be working till I'm 99 years old.
I love it, as it should be.
The idea of retirement is a fantasy.
Like literally a fantasy.
Yes. But no, joking aside, I would see myself, I quite like being sort of in the mountains.
Oh.
Not necessarily hiking, but I do like sort of just being
I agree with you.
in the
I like
mountains.
mountains, but just not getting there.
And like
Yeah.
in the winter with my wife and with a couple of dogs.
Oh,
of
really?
course, a couple of big dogs.
Aw. Like, what kind of dogs are we talking?
Oh,
What
I don't
breed?
know.
Do you have a particular one you like?
Like golden retrievers or St. Bernards or Great Pyrenees, the big dogs.
The big ones.
Yeah.
Real dogs, yeah.
Real dogs.
Not that little dogs are not real, but yes.
That's right.
Right.
Kongish. Close your ears, Kongi.
Oh, I like that vision.
That
Would
would
your
be-
wife like that?
No.
That's why it's called Fantasyland. Yes?
But yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing. We're going to jump into global affairs. What do you have for us today?
So today, I think we'll just talk about China, Japan, Korea issues.
Oh.
So this has been in the week. I'm sure you've covered this earlier this week. Of course, President Lee Jae-myung, he went on his state visit to China.
That's right.
So this was very important. This was the first state visit since 2017. So actually, President Moon Jae-in, he was there 2 times.
Yes.
2017 and then 2019. But actually the one in 2019, they didn't consider that a state visit.
Okay.
That was just an official visit.
Which is different.
Which is different.
Yes.
Just a slightly lower level. Okay. So this is sort of the first time in 10 years that the Korean president has gone to China. And it sort of signals that they want to sort of re-energize and rebuild, improve those relations, which, to be honest, for the past 10 years haven't really been that great.
Right.
Because of, well, especially, it started really because of THAAD.
That's
and
correct.
the installation of that. That's about 10 years ago now.
Yes.
So,
I can't
yeah.
believe it's already been that long.
I know.
Because I remember talking about that on our program, and then it's just lingered and lingered.
Right.
Yes.
I think COVID kind of sort of in the middle, that
Right.
two-year period of COVID, it's kind of offset everything.
That's true. Yes.
So, yeah. But yeah, so he's been there. And then, of course, China and Japan, tensions still rising there. And later this month, President Lee will also visit Japan.
That's right.
So this is a very interesting period for regional politics in Northeast Asia right now.
Right. And especially with, as you said, what's been going on, the backdrop of the tensions between, China and Japan.
Right. So
Ooh.
these China-Japan tensions, they seem
Yes.
to be getting sort of worse and worse, especially
Right.
this week. So, of course, we know this started back in, I think it was around November, when Prime Minister Takaichi, when she was very new to the office, she came in and basically said, if China attacks Taiwan, then Japan can use their collective self-defense
Yes.
clause to basically support Taiwan.
Oh, indeed.
And China was very angry at this because this goes against the One China policy. And they're saying, this is interfering in Chinese domestic policies. You shouldn't be doing this. So maybe you should sort of apologize, take back those words. Takaichi, of course, did not do that.
Right.
And those... Basically, the Chinese government imposed some policies against Japan.
That's right.
So seafood import bans, basically telling their people not to travel to Japan, students not to go, and things like that. So actually, over the new year,
Yes.
they just released the information that actually flights to Korea surpassed flights to Japan for the first time. So it really does seem to be taking
That's
taking
telling.
effect.
Yes.
So definitely there's been big influence from the Chinese government.
Yes.
But also this week, the Chinese government has imposed these sort of new export restrictions on what they call dual-use goods. So for those listeners, I'm sure most people know, but just in case, dual-use goods are goods that can be used both for civilian production or items, whatever, but also for military use as well.
Right.
So, I mean, we're not talking tables and chairs and everyday things like that. We're talking sort of semiconductors, electronic things, things that can be used in EVs and things like that.
Right. So obviously, once again, as you said, Prime Minister Takaichi not backing down. And so China taking measures of their own to protect, I guess, their interests. So it's like tit for tat, not backing down. That's where we are right now. I'm also curious, though, as to how this plays out with Korea and China, though.
So in this week, this was for me, a very interesting visit from President Lee to China. And we could really see two different sides. So we have President Lee traveling to China, and for him and for Korea, it was very much the sort of China-Korea relations.
Yes.
Resetting those, like we said before, improving those, sort of putting THAAD to the side.
Sure.
Okay. So for South Korea, it was this sort of bilateral level. Okay. Improving trade. So I think it was yesterday I was reading about this. They signed deals worth $44 million, which, to be honest, isn't that huge, but it's still quite a improvement, a good step forward.
Sure.
So definitely the economic relations for the Korean side. So they're focusing on trade, technological cooperation, environmental protection, which for other reasons was in the news again yesterday. But we'll skip that. But also, again, just allowing K-dramas, K-culture to sort of re-enter the Chinese market, which has been on sort of an unofficial ban in China.
That's true.
That's been the South Korean position. However, for China, it wasn't necessarily about trade just with South Korea. Let's face it, China doesn't necessarily need South Korean trade that much.
As much as vice versa.
Yes.
Yes.
For China, it was very much about guaranteeing that South Korea takes the side of China in any sort of security issues. So especially when it comes to Taiwan, basically they were, and Xi Jinping was very clear. He said, I think his literal phrase translated in English was, make sure you're on the right side of history and be very careful when you make your strategic decisions. So this was a very clear warning to South Korea. Look, you either choose China or you choose the US-Japan trilateral security agreement.
Yes.
So this was a very big sort of dilemma that President Lee is going to have.
It puts Korea in such a thorny situation once again. I mean, whether it's between like the US and China and then, you know, Japan versus China, it's very like much, it's a difficult situation.
It's impossible. There's no answer.
There's no right answer.
No,
right?
Exactly. And so also this is very important because another issue that we could bring in would also be North Korea.
Sure.
So China generally has a pretty good relationship with North Korea. Not amazing, but a pretty decent one.
Yeah.
And South Korea right now has no dialogue even.
Right.
And South Korea, President Lee really wants to re-energize again also and restart dialogue with North Korea. He needs China to bring North Korea on side for this.
Yes,
so that was
indeed.
another issue that I'm sure would have been discussed. But again, very different positions. And like we said, China made it very clear where they sit. Now, again, later this month, we're going to have President Lee on another visit. He's going to go to Japan this time. So kind of the opposite. So it'll be very interesting to see exactly how that one plays out.
Right. And the fact like there's always, pundits, they have, they say like where President Lee in terms of the order of the visits as well, also may speak volumes because it's all about the unspoken dialogue between and among all the entities. Like, who are you going to visit first versus like, who are you going to see next? It can also show, in many ways, a priority of sorts, right?
Oh, for sure. So I think the fact that he did go and see China, did go and visit Xi Jinping, and he was there for 4 days.
Yes.
This wasn't just a quick fly-in, fly-out visit.
Exactly.
This was a long visit. He stayed there. He was personally at various different business meetings as well. He took a big delegation with him. I think this really shows that for Lee, I think China is the priority.
Yes.
But of course, when it comes to Japan, it's not just Japan. It's like we said before, this Korea, Japan, US relationship that they're trying to maintain. And so again, very interesting issues in the world right now because everything is related to each other. Even if we come to Venezuela, which I don't really want to focus on Venezuela, but this issue could really affect China because China over the past 20 or 30 years has really been investing a lot in not only Venezuela, but also that sort of Central South American region.
Yes.
And the actions of the US lately have really said to China, look, we want you out of here. And this could give very big economic implications to China.
Yes.
They're going to lose a lot of potentially their investments over the past 20 years. They'll lose some of that influence.
Sure.
But on the other hand, it may force China to look for closer relationships with other countries, potentially for Russia.
Yes.
So in terms of the oil that they're going to potentially
Right.
lose from Venezuela, they need to get that somewhere else. This could be from Russia, Iran, other places.
Right. And I know that, we don't have time to even start to get into Venezuela and what went down, but that was such a huge story. And so we can not think about the implications, the wider implications of what happened,
of
right?
Course. So this is, like we said, and it's not just Venezuela now, also Greenland, this whole Western Hemisphere issue. This could have very big, not only economic, but also political implications.
Right. Are we going to cover what's happening with Venezuela? Is it okay to ask for maybe a preview into what we might talk about?
So we can do this next week?
Yes. Because it
like.
is such a, I know we've talked about it during our news segments with our waivers out there, but I would love to get your take on it as well. So if I could make a request, if we can cover it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'll take a note of that.
Yes. If you can, that would be fantastic. Well, of course, thank you once again for coming in and talking about what's been happening, not just with China and Japan, but of course, Korea in the mix in between all of that. So we'll check in with you real soon. Thank you.
Okay. See you next week.
Everybody, this was Professor Andrew Millard with Global Affairs. So this week, it's kind of been like our first full week back for the brand new year. So wishing you nothing but the best for the weekend. How about this one? Don't Look Back in Anger, by Oasis. So have a wonderful weekend and join us on Monday. Bye, everybody.
Don't you know you might find a better place to play? You said that you've never been, but all the things that you've seen slowly fade away. So I start a revolution from my bed, 'cause you said the brains I had went to my
FM 부산영어방송